The 94th Annual Academy Awards kicks off in a few weeks. So, what have you seen? And more importantly, what do you like? We're doing movie night with one of the industry's best film critics right now. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the way to kick off a new season. It's the way to do it, I think. But then again, you haven't seen us in a while. And more importantly, we haven't seen you either. And there's a lot of reasons for that, of course, COVID being one. This place here, a new move that I promise we will talk about in a new video. But for now, thank you for joining us for this kickoff new season, third season, in fact, of Now. I'm Elliot Francis. Well, I think we have a lot of good stuff coming up for you in this new season. But first, we want to start off tonight with what I was talking about. The 94th Annual Academy Awards comes up in a few weeks, in March, in fact. And you like movies, right? Yeah, everybody loves movies. Everybody thinks they know what is a good movie, and more importantly, who they think might take the Oscar on Oscar night. But to help us get some perspective on that, I've invited a friend tonight. He is the host and creator of Entertainment.com. Say hello to Kyle Osborne. Kyle, how are you?
Hey, good to see you, man. I was just doing the math in my head. I think it was almost 19 years ago that you and I started working together on ABC 7 in DC, early morning hours.
Yeah, right. It kind of late night like this, but even later. But thanks for the dating. I love to think of myself as going that far back. But yeah, it's been some time. How you been?
Excellent, man. I'm coming to you from 10,000 miles away. I live on a small island in Indonesia, which, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, there's no way we could do this. You and
Sure.
I couldn't do this.
Right.
But I wouldn't even be able to stay current with the movies like I can now. But now with everything being online and the big movie studios sharing direct links to a lot of their motion pictures, I could be virtually anywhere doing this.
Isn't that remarkable? And a lot of that, of course, was changed by COVID. I mean, we've had some good changes and some bad changes. What are some of the changes in the industry? I mean, particularly, I think you just talked briefly about distribution. Distribution, in fact, benefits you, but for a lot of people, it's not working, or is it?
Well, for the people that are trying to sell popcorn and giant-sized sodas, it's not so great. For the average consumer, most people are happy. Hey, they were kind of getting sick of going and paying a fortune to go to the movies, and the guy next to you is on his phone, and the person behind you, and the floor is sticky, and they were saying, is this really worth it? But the sort of streaming thing kind of democratized everything. You're young, you're old, you're rich, you're not as rich, you're whatever you are.
Sure.
They say certain products sort of make a level playing field for consumers. Like everybody can drink a Diet Coke, whether they're rich or poor or whatever, right?
Yeah, right.
And that's almost where we are now. How many of us have Netflix or Hulu or Amazon or HBO Max?
It's mind-boggling. I've got so many streaming services now. Somebody mentions a movie or a television show to me, and I've got to ask, well, what streaming service? What service is it on? And it's a little, before we had the 3 networks and maybe a couple of UHF channels, and it's mind-boggling. But it's great. It's good. The only thing that bothers me right now, and I talk with my son about this a lot because he's in the industry, is this practice of releasing a film, first-run film in the theaters, or if they don't run it in the theaters, they run it on a streaming service and want to charge me $20 for it. That ain't happening. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You think that's a trend to stay, or it's maybe?
I think that outfits like Disney Plus, they tried it out. You're paying a premium price of something crazy like $20 or $40, knowing that in anywhere from 30 to 90 days, it's going to be on that same platform for no additional charge. they obviously they have a lot of money, staked in these films, some of which were made before COVID. But let's take a movie like Cruella, for example. Huge budget, and how are they going to make it back just off of $6.99 a month subscription?
Right.
So they sort of dipped their toe into that water, but I'm not sure that it's been worth it for them. That's really created a lot of resentment. Why? Because consumers are used to what they're used to.
Mm-hmm.
They're not used to having to pay 20 or 30 or 40 bucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
For something that's going to be free a little bit later on. I say free, I mean part of the normal subscription price.
Yeah, right.
But what I thought you were going to say is studios releasing something into theaters a week or two before streaming. Because one of the several of the movies you and I talk about over the next few weeks that are Oscar nominees are already on streaming. Why is that? Because some of the movie studios, let's take Netflix for example, all they have to do, I know you're a guild member, all you have to do to be qualified for Oscar nomination consideration is you have to play in a Los Angeles County theater for 1 week. I think long ago it was LA and New York, but the most recent rules I read were LA County, 1 week, then you can go to streaming and you still qualify as a Best Picture.
No kidding.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's
a movie that, they're doing, Netflix will flash something on the big screen just to qualify. They don't have to make money off of that exhibition in a public theater.
Right, exactly. That's okay. That explains a lot for a couple of films that people have asked me, what's that? I that wasn't in the movies. I see that all over the TV. I can get that anywhere. $4.98 for a month, and I can get King Richard or whatever. But that explains a lot. That explains a lot. Talk to me about this the Oscar telecast coming up in March, I believe. Oh, should have wrote that date down. 27th. We'll get that date in just 27th. The 27th. Ah, you got bingo. The 27th March. Yep. It is the longest, I guess, we've gone without a host, but this year there are going to be a few hosts. Are they not?
Yeah, 3 hosts or hostesses, if
you like. In
that's
right.
Old English. We've got Amy Schumer,
Regina Hall,
and Wanda Sykes.
That's right.
3 of them.
Yeah.
And, they've all 3 been in motion pictures, but really, what are they known for? For being light on their feet, for being able to improvise, and to be comedians that have an edge without being offensive. Because, unlike the Golden Globes, and that's a whole nother story, the Academy is always scared to death that they're going to offend somebody somewhere. And it's
always.
It's gotten. Remember, it was going to be a big deal when Chris Rock was going to host?
Yeah, absolutely.
What if he says a swear word or something? He was.
So what?
Among the top 5 hosts to ever be on the show. In the end. So a lot of it's just a lot of
hoo-ha.
Getting the vapors for no reason.
Exactly.
I think that 3 of these ladies are going to be great and give us what we need, which is, last year was very antiseptic. Everybody's afraid to be out of, their own little safe space, and, for good medical reasons. And this year we try to get back out there and make it more lively. After all, this is a show. It's a TV show, beyond anything else, and it's got to be entertaining as such.
Absolutely. And speaking of entertainment, let's talk about some of the things they'll be talking about on that night. 10 nominated pictures altogether, right? Did I get my number right again? 10 nominated pictures.
I don't know. It can be up to 10. I don't remember if they made it all the way exactly to 10 because it goes on a scoring system.
Right.
Sometimes it's like 7 or 8.
Right, that's right. They change it every year, so it makes it confusing for folks like you and me, and even worse for our viewer there. So everybody's in the same boat. Let's talk about some of the ones that are really out there. Of course, the one that folks are talking about, ad infinitum, 12 nominations, The Power of the Dog. Tell me about that.
Well, this is an example of a movie that played in theaters just long enough to qualify. It may still be in some art house theaters, but it's been on Netflix for quite some time, and it remains there now. And yes, it does have the most nominations, and I would say it's an early front runner. We still have one more ballot coming in for the final vote, but I would say it's an early front runner for Best Actor, Best Picture, and Best Director for Jane Campion, who's actually now the first female director to have been nominated twice.
Really?
Now, yeah. Now, this is a film where everybody's heard the title, and about 1% of those people have actually seen the movie. You know?
No kidding. So it's really that few people that.
Well, it's an art house film. You know, you and I talked about this, just the two of us recently, and I looked up like the last 10 best pictures and pictures that won best picture that nobody has still seen, like Nomadland, Parasite in Korean language, Moonlight, The Shape of Water, which is a movie I love, Spotlight, Birdman. Who has seen these movies? Relatively few people in the whole universe of movie watching.
No kidding. So this just turns out to be, not turns out to be, but it seems to be something that the Academy is so fond of because we're just like the Academy is so it's such a fine movie. And you know, they do their thing, irrespective of anybody around them or the film-going public. It's just what we like.
Well,
and it's cool.
On the one hand, you know, the Academy's in the business of helping movies make money. And if you and I are talking about The Power of the Dog, maybe they sell a couple of more tickets to a movie that would be considered an art house film, not a blockbuster. And so that's good for movie makers who want to do something that's a little bit more on the artistic edge. Spider-Man and James Bond, they don't need our help, right? They're going to, in fact, those two fictional characters actually got moviegoers back into the theater, in my opinion, this past year, because people felt a little safer and they wanted to see a big spectacle movie on a big screen. The Power of the Dog has sweeping vistas. It's set in Montana, but Jane Campion shot it down in New Zealand, and it's just breathtaking. The vistas, you know, the cinematography, which by the way it'll definitely